On the 22nd of March 2018, Air India Flight 139 flew from Delhi to Tel Aviv, marking the first time that a commercial flight to or from Israel was permitted to pass through Saudi Arabian airspace. The flight ended a Saudi ban that was in place for 70 years and was an indication of how the relationships between the major powers of the Middle East are shifting. Recent threats to regional stability have seen opposing states quietly develop unofficial relations to work together in areas of mutual interest. This is the case with Saudi Arabia and Israel, who are both striving to restrict Iran's influence throughout the region. Saudi Arabia is engaged in a long-standing rivalry with Iran. The escalating battle for regional hegemony between the two states is both political and religious in nature, as Saudi Arabia has a predominantly Sunni Muslim population, while Iran has a Shia majority.
So there's a general destabilising trend that they play. They are exploiting existing conflicts for their own ends. But we do need to be a little bit careful with just assuming that because there's a Shia group or there's a manifestation of Shia political activism, articulated as Shia political activism, that it is just Iranian influence. I think there is a difference there.
In mid-2017, while discussing their potential to retaliate against Saudi aggression, Iran's defense minister warned, "It is unlikely that anywhere in Saudi Arabia would remain intact, with the exception of Mecca and Medina." Months later, Saudi Arabia's crown prince affirmed, "Without a doubt, if Iran developed a nuclear bomb, we will follow suit as soon as possible."
I think the Saudi regime is acutely aware that militarily, whilst it's got a lot of shiny toys and weapons and things, it doesn't really know how to use them that well. It wouldn't stand a chance in a direct military confrontation with Iran.
The Saudi-Iran rivalry provides a framework that helps clarify the intricate web of relations between domestic and international actors in the Middle East. The pursuit for regional influence often manifests in proxy conflicts that forge clear divisions between states, who each back the side that best protects their national interests. Saudi Arabia has regional allies in the Sunni-majority countries of Egypt, Jordan, and the Gulf states of Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, and the UAE. The Saudi regime has been at the forefront of multiple proxy conflicts, such as their aggressive air campaign to restore Yemen's ousted government. Iran challenges Saudi Arabia's regional dominance by consistently taking the opposing side in conflicts, with support from allies such as Syria, Hezbollah and Lebanon, and recently Qatar and Turkey. Rather than large-scale military operations, Iran allegedly arms local militant groups such as Houthi rebels in Yemen and Shia militants in Iraq. Proxy conflicts throughout the Middle East are often ignited by domestic actors, such as Saudi Arabia and Iran, and then fueled by the involvement of global superpowers such as the United States and Russia.
And that's always the problem that I worry about. A small conflict or a reasonable sized conflict, a miscalculation then can flare up into something quite massive and quite regional.
This creates multi-layered conflicts that are significantly driven by a desire to maintain and grow influence in the region. Saudi Arabia's major international ally is the United States, whose other key relationships in the Middle East include Turkey, Jordan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Egypt, and Israel. Although the relationship between Saudi Arabia and the West has been strained at times, both the US and the UK maintain strong diplomatic and economic ties with the kingdom. Western powers often use military sales to strengthen their relationship with allies, such as Saudi Arabia, and to safeguard the domestic security of states that they regard as key to this pursuit of regional stability. Almost 85% of Saudi Arabia's arms imports comes from the US and the UK through joint investments worth billions of dollars. On the opposing side, Russia has emerged as a major international ally to Iran, sustaining the power of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who is an essential regional ally for both Iran and Russia, has aligned the strategic interests of the two states and created a resistance to the US-Saudi partnership. While Russia does provide substantial military assistance to the Assad regime, they also wield significant diplomatic power as one of the 5 permanent Security Council members. Russia regularly exercises this by consistently vetoing Western-backed resolutions against the Assad regime, which have repeatedly prevented inquiries into their use of chemical weapons against civilians. In a region grappling with conflict and uncertainty, states working to ensure the survival of their own interests significantly drives the tangled alliance politics of the Middle East. Whether present and future threats will unite states against a common cause or divide and recalibrate the region's fickle relationships is hard to predict. However, both domestic and international policy in the Middle East will continue to be underpinned by the Saudi-Iran rivalry, as the two power players become further entrenched in the rise to regional dominance. We have to go to a break, but stick around as Deakin University students Molly Darrenpool and Ellie Randall describe what it was like to take part in a 2-week online Middle East politics simulation.